EGM Network.
Welcome to Bars Deep. We're back. Hello, everybody. Good morning. We're back here in Vero Beach, Florida, on the Treasure Coast of Florida. And I'm here with my son today, Will Harris III. And we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic. It's called, Does It Still Take a Village? Wow. Does it still take a village? When I was growing up, the saying was, it takes a village to raise a child. And basically what that meant is that you could be a single mother, you could be a single dad, and there were other resources and people in your community who would help out, who would help you raise your child, who would help you get through life and things like that. So whether you were a single parent or not, there was always support. We had Cub Scouts. We had a program called Young Davids in Warren, Ohio at Second Baptist Church at the time, who was the pastor, Reverend Mosley. We also had activities in our community that we took part in, the Black Festival and other things, cultural events, cultural things. And there's been a breakdown in society as far as, well, the question is, has there been a breakdown in society and how we look at how we share and how we communicate and how we treat each other? So I'm going to ask my son, Willie. Hey, how you doing, Willie? How you doing in Ohio today? I know it's kind of chilly down there, right?
Yeah, I'm good, Pops. It's definitely a little cold, a little snow, but not too bad. Other than that, I'm good. How about yourself?
We're doing pretty good. I think it's about 60-something degrees here, and it's chilly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was like 60-something up here the other day, but that didn't last very long.
Okay, so it's supposed to be chilly here for another 2 or 3 days, and it's going back to the hot temperatures again. So,
okay.
All right, so well, this is kind of interesting because we never really ever discussed this before, like your upbringing. I guess we kind of talked about it a little bit, but not really fleshed it out. So do you think that the way you were raised and the way you came up is different for young people today coming up?
Possibly. It seems like now, comparative to how I grew up, it seems like now a lot of older people, they are afraid of the younger kids in some cases.
Whoa.
Or just don't really care to kind of correct a lot of behaviors. But I have seen that it is a level of fear that between the older people and the younger people, because younger people are a little bit unpredictable these days. They value different things, especially with social media being as big as it is.
Right.
Just the way that they conduct themselves and carry themselves is a little different compared to when I was growing up. Because when I was growing up, like anybody's mom or dad could kind of correct you if they saw you doing something. It's not so much like that no more.
Right. And that fear started. That's so interesting that you said that and you used that word, because I noticed that also when I was a young man, that the older men who looked like me had a fear of us, because there was a lot of talk about gangs. What changed my community would have been in the 80s, crack cocaine. Once crack cocaine was introduced into the community, the whole dynamic of the community changed. It got a lot worse. And, they started listening to the music. They started hearing about people getting shot, started reading the reports, a lot of the propaganda. So the men and women in our community were afraid, and they wanted the government to do something about it. Like, we got these kids running around acting crazy. They selling dope. They're shooting each other. They're fighting all the time. It's a bunch of anger. Start locking them up. And that's where you had the Democrats along with the Republicans who passed that bill, which made a person caught with crack got a lot more time than someone who got caught with powder cocaine. But you couldn't make crack without having powder cocaine. So it sent a whole generation of men and young ladies to the penitentiary. And I was caught up in that, actually. So, yeah, that was the turning point for my community. What do you think was the turning point, if you had to label something or name something that changed your community? And I think I already heard you say it. Did you say, was it social media?
I'm not going to say it was solely social media, but it definitely played a part in it. Especially, we all know nowadays, now the young dudes, the young girls, they videotape themselves doing crime. Whether it be in the process of the crime, before the crime, after the crime. So like they videotape themselves now. So that shows the older people that there's a level of not caring
Right.
a level of not necessarily thinking about consequences, like no forward thinking. So a lot of older people, aside from the fear, because I won't say that everybody's afraid of the young kids, but aside from the fear, it's almost like, well, they're not gonna listen to me anyway. So what's the point in me wasting my breath
Wow.
trying to correct behavior when they're not gonna listen? And then a lot of people look like, well, I'm not related to this person, or it doesn't directly affect me.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna just not say nothing. And then you have the older people who would prefer to look cool in the eyes of the kids. So not
Wow.
only do they not say nothing, but they kind of perpetuate whatever bull crap that the young kids got on, just because instead of looking to like uncool to the kid by telling them what to do that's right, they rather not say nothing and pretend that everything is okay.
Wow.
Just to have that, just so the kids will think they cool.
Right. I saw a group of guys shooting dice the other day, and it had to be about 4 or 5 of them. And these were older guys, probably a little bit younger than me, not too far from my age. It was different varying ages, but most of them were older men, and they were shooting dice in pants sagging, underwear hanging out. I mean, they like snapping their fingers. I mean, they like got money on the ground, foot on money.
Yeah, it's the whole shebang.
Money
Yeah.
scattered out, and it's like everybody knows exactly what's going on. But the thing is, I was talking to Reverend Odom, my pastor in Ohio, and he said that he's having a hard time getting a group of men just to show up with him and the women from the church to the schools, the local schools there, just to greet the young people as they come into the building. You know, and I'm talking about men he know and men he's friends with. He says he's having a difficult time. He can get women to show up, but to get men to get together and show up and stand in front of the class, in front of the building, so that when the young people get off the bus, it's a line of men greeting them and slapping their shoulders and hands and saying, have a good day. He can't get that for the first week of school. He wants to implement that program for the first week of school. They do that just to encourage the kids and let them know that there's somebody, and he can't organize people and get them to do it. And
really? That's crazy.
Right. But we can get a group of men to shoot dice and have their foot on some money, but we can't get them together to make a difference in the lives of these kids. But see, a problem with that is that we don't get together as a community, but we definitely get together when something bad happens. You know, we have these vigils. We have these marches and these walks. We wear the person's face on our T-shirt. You know, we carry these candles at night. We all cry. You know, we let off some doves. Some people get up and do some speeches and talk about how good the person was and how this needs to stop and the violence needs to stop. But see, that's being reactive, and we're not being proactive. If we were proactive, we would have a program in place to save kids and not to wait until the violence or the destruction reach our own front steps or to reach our own home or our lives. So that's the problem. We're too reactive, because even when you were growing up, I remember one time, this is a vivid memory of me, and you were at the Black Festival. I think this was your first Black Festival, and I think you had to be about maybe 4 or 3, and you had a little cousin there. And you and your little cousin were just running around at the Black Festival. All this stuff was going on. People were enjoying the festival. They were hanging out. They were talking. And you and your cousin were running around in this circle as though you were the only two in the park. And for me, that was just living. That was like how life was supposed to be, where you don't have any worries. You're not afraid of anything. You're not even thinking about anything bad happening. And I think every young person should be able to feel like that. And I don't think that all young people feel like that now. I think that a lot of young people are dealing with some serious things, and they're dealing with a lot of dysfunction at home. And if it's normal, and if you see it all the time, it becomes normalized. And how do you know that you're in dysfunction? Because we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, if you've never seen anything outside of dysfunction, you would, in fact, think that was normal. And you definitely would carry it like that. I've seen, in my experience, I've just seen that a lot of kids don't get a chance to be kids.
Wow.
They get a lot of responsibility dumped on them at a young age, and that comes from like the parents. So they don't really get a chance to really be kids. So they kind of they kind of miss that part of it.
Mm-hmm. One thing I respect that you're doing with my granddaughter Lil is that you and her mother, even though you two aren't together, you do a really good job of raising her, and you do
her mom makes it easy. I would say that.
You do it. You two do a good job of being an example. You put her first. You know, you're not at odds with each other. You're not putting her in the middle of stuff, because that's the kind of stuff also that can rob you of your childhood.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. When you got to sit there and kind of decipher that, and
you don't want to make one mad at the other because you love both of them, and it's like, okay, how do I show my mom that I love her without offending my dad? How do I show my dad that I love him without offending my mom? And you all create an environment where she can love both of you all and don't have to second guess herself and be normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Because anything that me and her mom go through, I mean, it's really between me and her mother.
Right. That's how it should be.
We had multiple conversations early on when baby girl was born, and it was more so like, look, this is the job we got to do. You know, whatever happens between you and I, this is the job that we got to do, and we both understand that very well. But also it helps because we're not concerned about the other person's love life.
Right.
Because I see what happens a lot with some of the people that I know. The co-parenting doesn't really work because you still are concerned with that person's love life. You're
still emotionally wrapped up in that relationship.
Yeah, emotionally attached to that relationship. Her and I don't have that issue. So we're able to co-parent very, very easily because that's not a part of it.
Let me take you back for a second. You remember, I don't know I think you were in middle school, maybe high school, when you had a breakup with a girl and it was hard on you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I had to talk to you about it. And my advice was to you was that once you break up, don't go back.
Yeah.
Because
I still tell myself that to this day. It's like, all right, don't go back. I still tell myself that.
Right, because a lot of times the second time is even worse than the first time. So I remember telling you that when you were real young, man, you had a breakup and you were feeling real down and you were feeling low. And I'll let you know that goes away. But the thing is that once you break up with somebody, move on and move forward. And I think that a lot of young people, not even just a lot of young people, but a lot of adults have an issue with moving on.
Oh, absolutely. Because nobody wants, like when the breakup happens, what I've learned is nobody wants the breakup to go a way that they didn't, like they weren't in control.
Right.
Like you want it to be on your terms. So that's why a lot of people go back, so that when the breakup happens again, it'll be on their terms.
Right.
Like,
I'll walk away from you.
Yeah. Like I'll come back just to walk away in a couple of months. So I'll
come back just to cheat on you with one of your friends.
Yeah, just to run you into the ground.
Right.
Like, I'm not even here because I want to be here. I'm here just for get back. I know a lot of that goes on too.
Pettiness.
Absolutely, 100%.
And the worst part about that is you got a lot of kids' lives hanging in the balance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people aren't thinking about the kids. They're thinking about trying to hurt the other person.
Right, or using the kids as a pawn.
The kid.
Right, exactly. Or use the kid as a pawn. My thing is that there's certain things kids shouldn't even be privy to. Certain things kids shouldn't even know about. If you're going through financial issues, your kids shouldn't know it. If you're going through a depression, if you're going through some stuff, the kids shouldn't know about it. Maybe not the details, but there's nothing wrong with being sad. If your kids saw you being sad, say, hey, Dad's sad right now. Dad going through some things. So they know not to hide their emotions. But at the same time, that's not an opportunity to drop all of your weight onto your child.
Absolutely. It's not your child shouldn't feel like, oh man, Daddy don't have no money, so I gotta go make some money. That your child shouldn't feel that way.
Right. Or I'm not gonna ask Dad for anything because he don't have it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's another part of it. But going back to it takes a village to raise a child. I want you to kind of think about this for a second. When did it change? Or when was there a change in your upbringing, or at least your generation? Because like I told you earlier, mine was crack. I know what changed my generation. Before crack hit the scene, we were out shoveling snow. We were out cutting grass. You know, we were out mowing lawn. Raking up leaves. We were taking people's trash out, and we were dependable kids in our community, which means we didn't rob people in our community. We didn't steal from the people in our community. But once crack hit the scene, all of that went away.
Yeah.
All of that went away. All of a sudden, we weren't mature. We were still young and dumb kids. We still needed the adults to teach us. We thought we had it figured out. We thought we were going to be rich by the time we were 21. Seriously, we thought we were going to be millionaires selling dope. And we didn't understand that we were systematically destroying our own community. If we'd have known that, if we'd have known that we were going to be destroying our community, if we'd have known that young people would have fell in the same trap, if we'd have known that we would have been doing so much time in the penitentiary, we'd have never done that. But see, hindsight is always 20/20. So what happened, or what was it with your generation that you think changed your generation forever? What would it be, in your opinion?
I can't really say for sure, because I know when I was growing up, it taking a village was, at least from my perspective, that concept was very much alive and well, because it was plenty of times where I was somewhere and I knew I couldn't behave a certain way. I couldn't do a certain thing because I knew people couldn't wait to either tell you or tell my mom if I was caught outside doing something I ain't had no business doing. So I knew. You
remember that time you went to reserve and I came into the building to do my classes, and as soon as I walked in the building, some girl was like, "Mr. Harris, your son is in detention."
Yeah, people couldn't wait. People couldn't wait. Like they used to see me like, "Oh, I'm telling your daddy." Like, why do you got to do that?
And I walked up to you while you were sitting in the class, and your eyes were so big.
And I'm like, you're not supposed to know I'm here.
Right. And I walked to you. I said, "I'm gonna talk to you later." And walked out.
I remember every time, all those times. I ain't gonna lie, I remember all of those. But that was my experience growing up. Like I knew. But the thing with me was I never knew who was who. So even if I didn't know an adult here, they probably know who I am.
Right.
They probably watching to make sure that I don't do, something I ain't got no business doing.
Right.
So I don't really know where it changed, like officially, as far as the generation after mine. Me personally, I think that the teenage pregnancy thing really caught up with us, and that the age gap wasn't very far off between us being the actual adults and then the kids coming up, because we're so close in age.
Because y'all were having kids so young.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're not gonna listen to nobody that's 6-7 years older than you because you feel like y'all so close in age, versus somebody that's like your great uncle's age or somebody that's your grandma's age. And then, then a lot of people my age, they really don't care to reach back to the kids. And I talk to some younger dudes sometimes, but not only do I know how to talk to them, I don't take a position as if
you the expert. Listen to me.
I'm an expert. Like I know more than you. Like, oh, if you don't do this, no, I can meet you where you at. Whatever conversation that we have and get my point across, or where it don't sound like I'm speaking down on you. Because a lot of times what happens is a lot of the people who do reach back to the youth, they take a position of speaking down to them.
Right.
And ain't nobody about to sit and listen to that if they can help it.
Right. It's a way you do it.
Yeah. So a lot of the so aside from the people that are afraid to address the kids, sometimes the people that do address the kids, they speak to them in a way to where it's a little berating. And nobody gonna sit somewhere and listen to a person talking to them and they feel like they being disrespected.
Right.
So I definitely think the teenage pregnancy gap caught up with us. And just like and grandmas start getting younger. Grandmas is in their 30s now.
Right. And grandma's still in the club.
Yeah, grandma's in their 30s now.
So we don't have big
21-year-old girls.
Right. We don't have the big mamas like Miss Ella May. We don't have the big mamas like your grandmother, who she was a beautiful woman. I remember your grandmother. She was a nice lady, man.
Oh yeah, no.
Just so you know,
was one of those ones.
Just so you know, she was a beautiful woman. And
Granny was one of those ones.
Oh yeah, man. They don't make people like that no more. They don't make women like that anymore, and my grandmother, your great grandmother, and my grandmother, they don't make people like that anymore. And you miss them when they're gone. And
Oh, yeah.
you notice when they're gone. Life just isn't the same, you know. And I think a lot of it has to do with, you know, far as we go back to the history of, you know, mentorship and, you know, men mentoring women and well, men mentoring young men and women mentoring women and so on and so forth and those sort of programs. The thing is, would you, if you had an opportunity, would that be something that's important to you to mentor other young people? Is that something that's important to you or your generation? Because I already know you said earlier that some people your age aren't even interested in it. But is that something you specifically see a need for or something that you think needs to happen?
Yeah, and there are definitely people here who are putting things in place to mentor young men and young women.
Okay.
So we got Pastor Todd. He's now the pastor of Second Baptist. He ever so often he does have a program where he mentors young men. And I've seen in the past few years recently that he does have an initiative where they go greet the high school kids on like the first couple of days of school, like you were saying, what Reverend Odom wants to do. Todd's been able to do that the last couple of years at the beginning of the school year, just going to greet a lot of the young people as they make their way into school. Miss Ania has her program for the young ladies, where it's essentially mentorship. You know, she teaches them how to sit with dresses on, you know, etiquette, little stuff like that. So it's definitely it's not as many as there was when I was growing up, but they are here. They are active. I haven't participated from a mentorship standpoint, but that's simply because it's not that I don't think it's useful. I don't really have a reason as to why I haven't done it. I just haven't done it. But I'm definitely open to it because, I mean, it can't hurt. It can't hurt.
Right.
The only thing about that is you have to have that willingness from the parents as well as the kids.
Right.
Like they have to see the value. They have to see the value in it. Otherwise, even if they're there, if they don't see the value in it, it's not necessarily going to stick to them.
All right. We're going to take a real quick break and we're going to come back. Y'all stick with us.
Experience the magic of Hollywood's golden age. Riverside Theater presents Singin' in the Rain.
Good morning.
Filled with every memorable moment from the classic 50s film and a downpour of unforgettable songs.
Singing in the rain.
The greatest movie musical of all time is splashing onto the stage at the beautiful Riverside Theater. Singin' in the Rain is now playing, and you can get your best seats now at the box office or online at riversidetheater.com.
Are you a therapist or a nurse seeking the multi-state compact license? In the state of Florida, these and many other industries require a Level 2 live scan background check for clearance to work in your industry. A1A Fingerprints is your certified live scan source from Broward to Brevard. And if you're a medical provider, you need to be registered on the ACA web portal. A1A Fingerprints will help you navigate and comply with the law. Call 772-494-6556 or visit a1afingerprints.com. A1A Fingerprints.
All right, we're back. We're back, and I got my co-host, Will Harris III, with me, and we're discussing it still takes a village to raise a child, or does it? And one thing we just left off, Willie, you were saying something about, you know, a person has to be willing to be a mentor, and that might be part of the reason why we don't have as many as we had in the past. And that's very true. And also, I would throw in there, when I was doing mentorship, you know, I'll be driving around in my raggedy car and, you know, going to these schools and, you know, I was competing with, you know, the LeBron Jameses and the popular rappers because they had everybody's attention back then. And, you know, here I am, a guy with a raggedy car, Mr. Harris, you know, I look good though, but, you know, going to the schools and going around to the Juvenile Justice Center and you weren't going to make a lot of money doing that. I hate to say it. You weren't going to become rich doing it. It was something that you had to do because you believed in it It was something that you had to do because you knew it made a difference. You weren't going to see the results of it right away. It was something that later on, this kid might have to grow up, go off to college, and come back later, maybe 7 or 8 years later, and say, hey, Mr. Harris, you made a difference in my life. I just graduated college. So you didn't get the instant gratification. I think a lot of people nowadays look for instant gratification, hence why social media is so popular. So to be a mentor, you have to understand you're not going to get rich being a mentor. You got to understand being a mentor that you're going to be competing with, you know, the rappers and entertainers of the world who get attention just by saying something foolish. But at the same time, you got to want to do it, and you got to understand that it makes a difference. And actually, mentorship gives you something. I know it does.
It's fulfilling,
yeah, it gives you something. It gives you an opportunity to give back to the community with all the bad and negative things I had done in the community, meaning selling drugs. I wanted to give back, so I looked at it like I could do this for the next 50 or 100 years, and I still wouldn't make up for what I did. So that was part of my purpose, and that was part of the energy that had me go around doing it. And not just that, you got to deal with people talking about you.
Yeah, that too.
People talked about me more when I changed my life around and I went out there and started, you know, mentoring kids than they ever did when I was out there knocking people out, shooting guns, and selling dope. I was a lot more liked and a lot more respected when I was quick to knock you out, quick to shoot you up, or quick to sell some dope. I was very popular and well liked. But once I changed and started doing positive things, man, I had people you wouldn't even imagine, wouldn't even come up to me when I was in my other former life, having an opinion about me. But the thing is, I had to make a choice in the beginning. My choice was, hey, either you go back to what you were doing and take your respect back, or you keep doing this because now you respect yourself. And I chose, you know, to keep going forward because now I respect myself, and I can't put a price on that. And I wasn't going to give that up for anybody. So you're right, Willie. There's a lot that come with mentorship, and a person just has to make that decision and decide to do it. And I don't think people are doing it right now because, like you said, there's a fear. You know, there's an apathy in the community. You know, people have lost touch with some of these young people. But what do you think some of the solutions should be? I want to hear your opinion because you're a lot closer to that generation.
You really got to do it anyway. And just to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying earlier, it's people that stop me now to this day. Some people I know, some people I don't. But people either stop me knowing I'm your son, or people stop me thinking that I'm you, just to tell me that those conversations y'all would have in those mentorship programs or in those JJC rooms. A lot of those conversations help them out in the long run. So you would get a lot more of it if you were still here. But it's pretty often that while I'm out and about somewhere, somebody kind of stopped me to tell me that. But it just come you kind of just have to do it regardless of whether or not you think the kid you'll reach the kids or not. I mean, you just kind of got to do it. You kind of got to sit them down. You got to put them in a place to where they can listen, and not only listen, but it has to be a forum to where they get a chance to talk too.
Wow. Bars.
It can't be 2 hours you sitting there telling the young kids what they need to do,
right,
and not listening to them tell you what they need.
Right. You need a curriculum.
All kids aren't the same. Yeah, all kids.
And that's important. That's important to have an effective program, mentorship program. You need a curriculum.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So everybody in the program is saying the same thing.
Yeah,
Not only do you need a mentorship curriculum, whoever's going to be teaching needs to go through the training first. Because you can't talk about what you don't know.
That's true, 100%.
Yeah.
Or what you haven't lived or anything like
exactly.
that. I mean, you can speak on it from a spectator's perspective.
Come on.
But
you can't do
a lot of the kids who are living it, they're not that they won't respect it, but it's going to fall on deaf ears because they're actively living it. So they don't really want to hear it from somebody who's not actively living whatever particular exemplary life you got going on.
Right. Oh, man, that was powerful. That's bars right there, boy. Come on, man. Wait, come on now. There you go. You gave me a chill with that one right there,
I mean,
man.
I'm your son now. I'm your son.
You doing good, man. I love hearing what you say, man. Your perspectives are right on point, man, and you're a very thoughtful person. And I can tell that a lot of this stuff you've already thought about it, man. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna touch on this topic again. You know, we're gonna be coming back with another next Thursday. We'll be back at you, and we'll have another topic. We're gonna discuss some more things. You all will see Willie a lot more. You know, my better half, my son over here. You know, I'm so proud of him. And just understand that Bars Deep is coming, and we're going to be live. So I'm going to let you end it, Willie. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't really got much. God bless everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure it's a productive one. And just keep on pushing.
Shout out to Jesse. Shout out to Jesse, the engineer here.
100% shout out to Jesse. Jesse, the man with the plan. Jesse, I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.